Hi, President-elect Donald Trump will be sworn in as President of the United States and giving his first presidential address today at noon Eastern Time. So, how will this speech rank amongst the best inaugural addresses of all time?
Here with a few of the best addresses to date, President and partner with Maslansky and Partners, Lee Carter. Good morning, Lee.
Good morning.
You're going to go through some of the president's best speeches that were given right out here.
Yes.
Who are we going to start with first?
We're going to start with JFK, one of the most iconic speeches that we'll all remember.
Roll it.
So let us begin anew, remembering on both sides that civility is not a sign of weakness, and sincerity is always subject to proof. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
And he would start the Peace Corps, and he wanted to get everyone in that sense of service. Such
a beautiful, beautiful speech, inclusive, inspiring, and that's what we want to see out of inaugural speeches. And so hopefully we'll see more of that this afternoon.
The other person is, of course, everyone talks about Ronald Reagan. Both sides of the aisle say he really transformed. What excerpt? Do you have an excerpt you picked?
Yes. So let's roll tape, and we'll talk about it in just a minute.
In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem. So as we begin, let us take inventory. We are a nation that has a government, not the other way around. And this makes us special among the nations of the earth. Our government has no power except that granted it by the people.
Gosh, that's bittersweet.
It is just, we all
love him.
We all love him. But let's remember, he was the first president to face the people, saying, I serve you, not the other way around. He was a president of the people and for the people. I expect that we're getting something similar out of Donald Trump today.
All right, real quickly, I think we got a George W. Bush speech excerpt from, I believe, A Rainy Day.
The enemies of liberty in our country should make no mistake. America remains engaged in the world by history and by choice, shaping a balance of power that favors freedom. We will meet aggression and bad faith with resolve and strength. And to all nations, we will speak for the values that gave our nation birth.
Lee?
National security message, and that was important at the time.
Still strong today.
Still strong today.
All right. Lee, thank you.
When we come back next hour, Kellyanne Conway will be joining us live, and a guy named Geraldo, separately from him, will be on. It's going to be an exciting show. Don't blink.
No matter
and not to understand how overwhelmed he is about what it means to be president of the United States, especially when you consider where he started, how little chance so many people gave him, and how he defied all the odds even up until Election Day, which he took some time to recite yesterday. Meanwhile, a full schedule on tap, and it's pretty much planned out for the president-elect.
It is, and we're going to detail it. You're going to see some of it here on Fox and Friends. At 8:30, there's going to be a private prayer service for the Trump family at St. John's Episcopal Church. This is something they have done for generations. Then at 9:30, the Trumps will come across Lafayette Square, go into the White House, and then they're going to have a little tea and some small talk with the Obamas before the Obamas leave the White House for the last time and go to a big Palm Springs vacation.
Also at 9:30, musical performances will begin at the U.S. Capitol, and then at 10 a.m., President Obama and the Vice President Biden, they will escort their successors to the Capitol.
Yeah, so they'll do the swearing in, and that's going to be great, and then they're going to have the oath of office, which is what makes America, America, and then we're going to have an opportunity to see the Joint Congressional Inaugural Committee luncheon, but then most importantly...
In Statuary Hall.
Yeah, the Statuary Hall. We got to get a chance to see the president speak, and he's going to set the tone for the next 4 years in office. And we've seen him speak a lot. We've carried a lot of those speeches, but this is going to be special, and this really is going to be important.
Then at 2:30, they're going to, Pence and Trump will have a military review. What's interesting is, starting at 3 o'clock, the inaugural parade, historically, I went to one, I think it was during the Clinton years, might have been 4 hours long, 3 or 4 hours long. They're saying they're doing their best to get it down to 1 hour, which is great because keep in mind, while it's great to see all the people in the parade, the people on the sidelines can be freezing to death. And so, the transition team said we'd like to make the people who do attend as comfortable as possible. So it's going to be short. And it's going to be sweet. And a lot of military.
And a lot of women in particular are going to be watching tonight. We all want to see what Melania is going to be wearing.
At the balls.
Are you guys interested in that?
Not as much as you would think, because I can't tell the difference. You know what? I just think it's all about the person, not so much what they're wearing.
Of
I actually thought that it's one of the
nice.
most...
It's just nice. They're such a beautiful couple,
sure.
beautiful family. It was so fun yesterday to watch them come down the Lincoln Memorial as a family. Usually you see...
He choreographed that unbelievably.
Right. They looked so beautiful. And then he's there with his grandkids.
Producer. He knows how to do it.
Yeah, true.
So anyway, there he is right there at the end. He took the mic and he did some talking and he made it very clear that, he is humbled by the office, but at the same time, he wants to get going. Then about 2 hours after that, he did some speaking at Union Station for a private candlelit dinner. Here's a little bit of what he said last night, looking back at the campaign and forward to the rain.
They predicted that this would be the greatest loss in political history, not even modern political history. I outworked everybody. I think I outworked anybody who ever ran for office. They canceled their fireworks 2 weeks out. If you're going to lose, you don't want fireworks, right? Come here, Kellyanne. Wow. There is no den she will not go into. When my men are petrified to go on a certain network, I say, Kellyanne, would you do it? Absolutely, no problem. Then she gets on and she just destroys them. So anyway, thank you, baby. Thank you. Tomorrow we have a speech, probably around 12 o'clock. It may rain, it may not rain. I don't care. Doesn't matter. I mean, the truth is, if it really pours, that's okay, because people will realize it's my real hair, and that's okay. It's okay. We are going to make America great again, greater than ever before. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
A completely ad-lib president. Ladies and gentlemen, it starts at noon.
He just says whatever's on his mind, talking about Hillary Clinton canceling the fireworks display 2 weeks in advance, and then he looks in the crowd, he sees Kellyanne, he's like, Kellyanne, you're great, come up here.
And I'll tell you what, yesterday before this all started, we got to see the Trump family, the extended family, even some of the grandkids running around. It was perfectly choreographed, in my humble opinion. It was lit wonderfully, and special thanks to the Earth for providing great weather. And the president goes out and he sits behind the bulletproof glass, and he has a chance to take in the concert. And I thought the concert was great. But as artists sat at home and they asked themselves, they must be asking themselves, why did I sit out? Unbelievable setting, a great moment for America. You have the president-elect sitting there, and I thought about so many of these bands that said, I just don't want to cause any controversy, and I'm going to stay home. So I thought that really, hopefully, in 4 years, no matter who's president, they'll realize this is about America.
Yeah, but take a look at what's going on. We got 70 U.S. congressmen sitting it out. It wouldn't be surprising that a bunch of lefties from Hollywood would say, you know what, if I ever want to, I'm not going to show up Donald Trump. I don't like his politics, blah, blah, blah,
I have a theory. I think a lot of them voted for Trump.
I was going to say that,
They don't want to tell anyone they voted for Trump.
We're talking about in public, though.
Yeah,
because
they came out to public. That would be outing them. But maybe their management says, I'm not going to show up. Although, talking to somebody last night, they were telling us that maybe they didn't reach out to everybody they could have.
That's right. That's right. So you and I were discussing this too, saying that just like a lot of Americans voted for Donald Trump and didn't want to admit it, because people were saying if you voted for him, you were this or you were that, or you believed exactly what he believed, and that's not necessarily the case. But then people came out in droves to vote for him. Clearly, he won the election, and you're right. Maybe that's exactly what's happening in Hollywood. They just don't want to lose business.
Right. He had a really important message, and we're not going to rehash why Hillary lost, but we do know Donald Trump won, and he was victorious last night when he took the mic and did some ad-libbing for, we got about a minute and a half's worth of him in front of the Lincoln Memorial last night at the Make America Great concert.
And 18 months ago, I had something to do with it, but you had much more to do with it than I did. I'm the messenger. I'm just the messenger. And we were tired, and I love you. Believe me, I love you. We all got tired of seeing what was happening. And we wanted change, but we wanted real change. But we're going to make America great for all of our people, everybody throughout our country. That includes the inner cities, that includes everybody. And we're going to do a special job. On the campaign, I called it the forgotten man and the forgotten woman. Well, you're not forgotten anymore, that I can tell you. I will see you tomorrow, and I'm going to be cheering you on. You're going to cheer me on, but I'm going to be cheering you on because what we've done is so special. All over the world they're talking about it, all over the world. And I love you folks, and we're going to work together, and we are going to make America great again, and I'll add, greater than ever before.
All right. Coming up, we've got the first woman to win a presidential campaign, his campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway. She's going to be with us in the next 20 minutes right here, live from the National Mall in Washington.
Yeah, that's right. The majority of people here in D.C., they've come from so many different states to support Donald Trump and his family. But there are a few protesters here in D.C., and they were taking to the streets, many of them last night, less than 24 hours ago.
You know, but it was also an underwhelming amount of protesters. I mean, compared to the amount of people coming to celebrate, there's a few that want to rain on the parade, and one of them was outside the Deplorable last night, which was a group of Trump supporters getting together to celebrate the victory.
Proudly deplorable.
Proudly deplorable. Well, a few protesters decided to camp out outside and cause trouble. So, of course, as we always do, we went right into the middle of it. Well, this is what happened.
It looks like this is the Stop the Trump Pants regime before it starts. Somehow they're going to stop the regime before 12 noon tomorrow when Donald Trump puts his hand on the Bible. I'm going to talk to some of these guys and see what they think. Are you willing to talk? No? Sir, you got these signs. Are you willing to talk to us? Why are they a fascist? Why are they fascist?
Trump and Pence are illegitimate.
Lots of chants, not a lot of answers. What are you protesting?
The United States of America is a country that is based off the opposition of tyrannical governments. Cite the American Revolution, for example.
Everybody else, they call their popular vote, they call it the vote. They don't call it the popular, they call it the vote.
I'm a We the People supporter.
So if you're for Hillary Clinton, would you acknowledge she campaigned in the wrong states?
The majority of people think that he's illegitimate.
I think you should not disavow David Duke? So where are your facts? I have the video. We can easily show it to you.
David Duke endorsed me? Okay. All right. I disavow. Okay?
You shouldn't let people in from countries where terrorists like ISIS are trying to infiltrate our country.
What are we supposed to do? We're supposed to, make people tell us their religion? That's not what America's about.
What about Somalia? Is ISIS Al-Shabaab is in Somalia. Is Al-Shabaab not seeking to commit terrorism from my home state of Minnesota?
Absolutely no, they are. You're right. You should perhaps be careful.
Please don't touch my camera. I'm not going to face it. You don't have to talk to me if you don't want to. As you can tell, we have a very tolerant group out here. Someone's throwing their phone at me, so that's apparently tolerant as well. Why are you wearing a gas mask and a tactical vest? Are you
He always has a way to twist things around.
Are you a scuba diver?
Absolutely not.
You say we live in dangerous times. No, are you talking to ISIS? Are you talking about ISIS?
I'm talking about Donald Trump.
Do you prefer to live in the Soviet Union?
Hell yeah. Stalin would be a hell of a lot better than Trump.
Stalin would be better than Trump?
Yes, he would.
Do you know that Stalin killed 50 million people?
Did you know that the population increased 1.6% under Stalin?
Russia's accepting visa applications right now. Would you like to go?
I'd be thrilled.
I think we wouldn't mind sending them, right?
I would like to send them. I would pull resources.
You need to talk to your agent. We all went out for steak dinners last night, and we sent you to a place where they were throwing phones at you.
I know. How do I always get that gig?
That's because you're military. You know how to handle yourself in those situations.
Only snowflake protesters would throw a cell phone.
Right.
It's like that's all they got.
Did it break? Did the cell phone break?
Yeah, it fell on the ground, and then he picked it up quickly. And
the pros and cons of Stalin. That's what people want in the morning.
That's apparently what it's all about.
It is, absolutely.
It's a dicey. But you know what? They all talked about the popular vote. And then I would say, what about the the pesky Constitution and how we do things.
Sure.
Oh, don't worry about the Constitution. Just a popular.
And the deplorables inside, undeterred by the troublemakers outside.
Would have been attacked, almost every single one of them, if not for great law enforcement that protected them.
Yeah, I feel so bad for law enforcement. I watch them wrestling on the ground.
Yeah. Oh, they're the real heroes in any of these scenarios.
Yeah.
All right.
If anything,
Peter,
it makes the deplorables even happier when they go outside and they see that and what's going on. They go inside and they dance a little longer, like Ryan did last night.
And they're doing another sound check here. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's all night long on the mall.
Yep, and it's all right now. In fact, coming up straight ahead when we come back, she's back. Michelle Malkin on how President Trump can drain the swamp that is Washington, D.C., and drain it fast.
And he protected President Obama during his inauguration. Dan Bongino is here to explain what the Secret Service is looking for and how they're going to keep our next president safe.
Meanwhile, let's take a look across the street from the White House, the Blair House. Hello, Dan.
Good to see you.
That's the U.S. Capitol, where Donald Trump is going to be sworn in later today.
Good to see you.
Hi. Okay, high noon. Donald Trump becomes the 45th president of the United States. Right there, you'll see it live as they do a sound check here in the heart of the District of Columbia as we look up Pennsylvania from about the White House toward the U.S. Capitol. Meanwhile, right now there are more than 28,000 security personnel from dozens of agencies throughout Washington, D.C., ready to protect the president-elect and his family.
Joining us now is Dan Bongino. He is a former Secret Service agent for President Obama. He did the business, did that stuff for 12 years and protected him during his inauguration in 2009.
Yep.
Always great to see you, Dan.
Yes, sir. Good
Never
to be
more
here.
appropriate than to talk to you now.
Yeah.
Can you compare the two? 09, our first African-American president in 2016?
Yeah, there were big differences in 09. 09, if we are triaging your concerns, number one was the crowd. The crowd in 09 was massive.
1.8 million or something like that?
Yeah, 1.8, close to 2 million people. I don't think we're going to get that crowd. It's going to be significant, obviously, but you're not going to get that crowd this time. But the second concern back then was this the whole idea of shooters, these active shooter scenarios that were just breaking out around then. Now, obviously, those are still concerns, but layer on top of that drones, truck attacks, and this massive protest that's supposedly scheduled. We'll see if it happens. We'll see if people show up. And you have really a witch's brew.
Dan,
right
do you
now.
have intel on what's going to happen today or what could happen today? And what are your fears?
Well, I was walking down Pennsylvania Avenue yesterday. I ran into some, let's say, colleagues.
Some of the guys.
And, you know, the Secret Service is really into don't be the guy who panics ever over anything. 'Cause panic will only make a bad situation worse. So it's very unusual to hear even a little bit of anxiety. And a couple of the guys I was talking to were genuinely concerned. Like one of them had said his family was considering coming down, and he had said, I'm going to stay back. Again, I don't think it's a reason to panic. These are just people who get a concentrate.
Why are they concerned? What are they hearing?
I think the protesters, you know, in the Secret Service, it's usually the 3 Ps, right? You're always concerned about the press, the public, and the protectee, and how they're going to get in and out, move around the event, how we're going to secure all of those people. It's the 4th P on this one. It's the protesters. I'm really hoping they don't materialize, and I'm hoping all of this is wrong, and I hope after this we can say, hey, it was all a big nothing burger.
Sure. Well, we've had big gatherings where they've suggested we're going to come down by the tens of thousands.
Yeah.
Never panned out. But the Secret Service can't afford. They've always got to err on the side of security.
Yeah, I mean, remember at the RNC, there was supposed to be 100,000 protests. It was, again, a big nothing burger. My concern with this one is some of the information I heard was a little bit disturbing. And whenever you hear the term Molotov cocktail, you get very concerned. I mean, that's the kind of thing, you know, fire is obviously everybody's biggest fear. And you drop one of those in the middle of an event, you're going to cause a big problem.
You guys became masters of putting protesters in the right place. You're going to be able to corral them, right?
Yeah, I mean, here's the general rule with protesters. Most people don't know. We're not allowed to do protest zones anymore. That's unconstitutional according to a court ruling. So right now, the protesters are allowed to go anywhere the general public is. So you can't tell people not to come in based on a political view.
Sure.
So it gets tough because, you know, if you think they're going to do something, you know, what are you going to do? You just got to watch them.
All right, fingers crossed.
Thanks so much.
You got it, guys.
Secret Service is ready.
Yeah, they are.
Dan, thank you.
All right, meanwhile, coming up straight ahead, they said that he could not do it. She helped prove them wrong. Kellyanne Conway, the mastermind behind President-elect Trump's historic surge and victory, that is still ahead.
And it's a promise that we've been hearing for months.
We're going to Washington, D.C. to drain the swamp.
Michelle Malkin joins us on
Michelle,
set.
how are you?
Coming up next with what the president must do to accomplish that.
Blows me off, right?
We ask
Good morning from Washington, D.C. Some quick headlines to bring you right now. In just a few hours, the notorious drug lord El Chapo Guzman will face a judge in New York City. He arrived from the U.S. from Mexico last night. There's a picture of that right there. He faces charges in 6 states and life in prison. President Obama using his final hours in power, writing to Congress, slamming them for failing to close Gitmo. This is his final 4 terror transfers now arrive in the UAE and Saudi Arabia. He released 14 prisoners in the last week alone. 41 detainees remain at the camp. And your prayers are working. Those are the words from former President George W. Bush, posting that online, that his parents, former President George H.W. Bush and former First Lady Barbara Bush, are now on the upswing. They were hospitalized for respiratory problems. Your prayers are working, and we're thinking of them and praying for them. A speedy recovery. I'll see you soon.
We are indeed.
Wonderful.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Meanwhile, Heather, great job.
Heather.
Meanwhile, it's time to bring in our good friend. We don't see her enough. Michelle Malkin, now a senior editor of the Conservative Review, and you also have a TV project going.
Yeah, that's right. It's crtv.com, and it's an investigative show. We're digging into a lot of really good stories, juicy stories that nobody else is telling. So
fantastic.
And then Bongino and I, you just had him here. We're doing our own little live stream on CRTV today.
Wow,
What does Donald Trump need to do, in your opinion, to drain the swamp, like he said, over the last few months?
Well, he's done plenty already. You look at these nominees, and I'm more excited than I have been in the 25 years that I've covered politics.
And you weren't a Trump fan in the beginning.
I was not initially, but I definitely came along like a lot of people did, convinced especially that he is going to be very serious about issues that I've reported on and care about over the last quarter century, particularly American sovereignty, American jobs, border security, and our public safety.
Sure, and regulation is something that impacts every company in the country. It's interesting, thehill.com has got a big item. The headline right now is about how, as Donald Trump takes the helm of the country, he's planning drastic cuts to the budget. Yes. That's what we want.
Yeah, that's right.
Where appropriate.
Getting serious about really shrinking the size and scope of government in every aspect of our lives. And that is the cultural change that he's bringing after 8 years of a nanny state, meddling, intrusive government, and a dependent culture. And I think it's throwing off the chains of that what a lot of people are excited about. Not just constitutional conservatives, but independent thinking Americans. That really was the key to this election.
So that I agree with you too, and I know you were the first one. I think it was Invasion that you wrote. You talked about what's happening with our borders.
That's right.
And one of the things that Donald Trump said, and I think you did not know how his immigration stance would resonate. If it wasn't for him saying, "I'll bolster the border," I don't think you would have had the type of rocket launch that he had.
That's right. And think about the summer when he announced he was the one, not any of these establishment open borders Republicans, that seized on the public safety issue. He knew the name Kate Steinle. He understood the power and impact of rejecting sanctuary cities and the ways in which so many levels of government were failing to do their basic duty. And that's what we mean when we talk. I think that we're going to see this in the overarching themes of the speech today. What is the proper role and relationship between the individual and government? This is something that was neglected over the past 8 years because there was a presumption and entitlement on the part of President Obama to be the center of the universe.
Yeah.
Michelle, we were together last night, and we were walking up this hill, and we saw these protesters coming down. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's right. It actually underscores a theme of a piece I did for my nationally syndicated column on the sponsors of anarchy. I've warned about this for years now. I've covered these black bloc types, these criminal elements within the left who exploit the tolerance of the social justice mob. And we were going up the street after a nice, pleasant dinner. And this isn't just happening to people like us who are prominent. There are normal, average, ordinary people on the streets who are here to celebrate a historic moment being mobbed. And we were
wearing
outside
a Trump hat or jacket.
Well, that's right. And we were at the outside of the Heroes Ball in Warner Theater, and we couldn't get past the street because these people had their megaphones. They were throwing things. I tweeted video of it from last night. It's scary. Well, God bless every one of our law enforcement officials out there at every level. Thousands of them on the streets.
We have video of them wrestling these guys on the ground.
Yeah, that's right. And at the Deplorable, there were people who were left bloody because people were pelted. And I'm very concerned about what's going to happen today. These people are absolutely, as to borrow the title of a book I wrote in 2006, unhinged.
Well, they certainly have the right to come and protest, but when they get violent, and we just took a live picture of them, they're starting to mass, and of course we've heard the clarion call from the political left, let's send tens of thousands of people down to Washington, D.C., and as Dan Bongino, former Secret Service guy, was just telling us, this is the unpredictable element that they're a little worried about. They just simply don't know what those people are going to have because, well, they are not going to have magnetometers or wands here. They are going to have bag checks, but you can smuggle stuff in.
That's
if
right.
You're
And
really
look at the
diabolical.
signs, by the way. I call that rent-a-mob font because that font has been used on these prefab signs that have been used in every protest that I've covered since 2000 in the Bush era. Answer, the subsidized Soros Foundation that, like I said, that is really underwriting this level of manufactured agitation. And where are the Democratic leaders to condemn the climate of violence?
They're boycotting.
Enable. That's right. Empty chair Democrats.
Maybe Donald Trump will give them jobs so they'll have something to do.
Right. No, the problem is they don't want jobs because they don't want something to do.
Some of these people are getting paid.
This is their full-time job.
Yeah,
and if they're not being subsidized by Soros, in large part, they're getting federal government subsidies for it.
And probably Obamacare.
Yeah, that too. That's right.
Michelle Malkin, thank you very much.
Hey, great to see you. Stay safe out
there. And if you would just get more enthusiastic, we'd book you more. I just don't see it.
Right.
I got to see more emotion and passion. Good to see you, Michelle.
Too.
Hey, coming up straight ahead, Fox News Alert now. Those protests we just showed you, growing larger by the minute. We've got people on the ground in and around the city. We'll bring you there live.
And they said that he couldn't do it. She helped prove them all wrong. Kellyanne Conway joins us live on the set. Next, come on in.
Well, she's historic. She's the first woman to run a presidential campaign as we look at the sun coming up here in Washington, D.C., officially just 10 minutes ago. It is a beautiful day right now. There's a chance of rain, but you can't rain on the parade of Kellyanne Conway, who joins us live here on the National Mall. Kellyanne, congratulations. How great do you feel right now?
I feel like sunshine, so let's hope there's some of it. I feel so happy for the country. I think it's a fresh start. It's like a gut renovation, not even a fresh coat of paint. Brand new president, vice president, fabulous opportunity to unify the country and take action the way a successful billionaire businessman who's created jobs over a series of years and connected naturally with people can do.
So the one thing about after Donald Trump won, he was in New York. And then, he goes to visit Washington and leaves again. But there's something different about this weekend.
Yes.
Because it's his home. This majesty is his. He's going to be running for 8 years. Could you talk about the Donald Trump as he takes in the Washington Monument, sitting on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, going to get sworn in today?
He certainly is moved by the enormity and gravity and responsibility of this. And he is making history. We've never had a president who had no political or military experience. I mean, America just made good on their 30-year avowed desire to pollsters to have somebody who's been successful outside of government and who comes to Washington owing no one anything. And Donald Trump is soaking in this moment and enjoying this day as he does most important moments in his life with his family. You saw last night on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. You've seen throughout the campaign trail. His family is so central to him. Yeah. And I think America really should look at that today and see the full measure of the man who's about to be their president.
Well, you're wearing red, white, and blue today. You wore red last night. And Donald Trump is talking about you while he's speaking to the audience, and he pulls you up on stage. We're going to play this, and then we'll talk to you about it. Watch this.
It's loss in political history, not even modern political history. I outworked everybody. I think I outworked anybody who ever ran for office. Come here, Kellyanne. She's been so great. Wow. There is no den she will not go into. When my men are petrified to go on a certain network, I say, Kellyanne, would you do it? Absolutely, no problem. Then she gets on and she just destroys them. So anyway, thank you, baby. Thank you.
What's your reaction to that?
Well, I'm tremendously humble.
You didn't know he was going to do that, right?
Of course not. And I was too shy to go off. I said, come on, Melania, let's go together. She said, no, go ahead. But that's Donald Trump. You never know what's coming next. And I think he said it best right before that, Ainsley, when he's telling the audience, this is a victory shared by all. It's absolutely how I feel. I get a lot of credit, and I immediately tell people two things. One is we had an amazing team and an unbelievable candidate. I mean, I've never met somebody so brilliant and such a natural connector with people. And secondly, This is someone who this is a victory share by all and it's a future share by all because America really stood up. I saw the people lined up today at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I just said, this is like one of his rallies all over again. They just line up. They're so excited. They're so happy.
Yeah.
He has a great opportunity to unify the country today. And you're going to hear that from his speech. His speech is very
talk about the
bold,
speech. I hear it's about
bold,
20 minutes. It's more philosophy and less about what he's going to do.
That's right, Brian.
What do you mean by that?
It's not an agenda speech. This is not a State of the Union speech. It's very bold, action-oriented, but it's also beautiful for its simplicity. And he wrote it, with the help of a few others. But these are his words. And you'll recognize the voice of Donald Trump in this address again and again today. It's beautifully written. It'll be powerfully delivered. It's elegant in its simplicity because he basically calls us all to action. He is willing to lead, but he'd like us to follow. And follow him, meeting his call to both unify the country, but to make some significant progress. I mean, nobody can be happy that as we sit here today, in the steps of our government, that millions of women lack for health care, millions of women and their children are in poverty. Nobody can feel good about that. And he's just a man, I think as New Yorkers you can appreciate, he's going to inject a shock to the system here almost immediately. And you're going to feel, I predict you'll feel in one week. That's right, that's what they do. And in 1 week's time, you will definitely know this is President Trump's government.
Well, President-elect Donald Trump has been tweeting while you were talking. He put this out. It all begins today! ! I will see you at 11 a.m. for the swearing in. The movement continues. The work begins. And he has been adamant, referring to, it's not just me, it is a movement. And there are so many people across the country, and that's how you ultimately won, because they felt like Washington was not representing them. Donald Trump sounded like a guy who's thinking what I'm thinking, and that's why he gets the big chair.
That's right. And when he talks about the forgotten man or forgotten woman, we should all realize what that really means to folks. I saw people at these rallies. We heard from millions of people online, through the mail, on the phone. They believe that he is their last hope to really have everyday affordability, accessible health care, to get their kids out of schools that really don't work. These kids are trapped based on their zip codes. But he also appealed to many intangibles, the sense of patriotism, the sense that, yes, we live in a global world, but this is America, and we have to look out for each other and our own people first. I can't tell you in 28 years of being a pollster how many times I've heard that from people, that, hey, why don't we look out for our own people first and put Americans first? And he's the guy who articulated it. I think Donald Trump is a delightfully complex person with some very simple ideas for America. A lot of politicians are the opposite.
They certainly are.
When you talk about what is actually going to get done, do you think it's a bad sign that 70 Democrats roughly won't be going? And if he wants to reach across the aisle, are they giving a signal to Donald Trump, we won't be there?
Well, it's a tremendous disappointment, and it's their choice. We respect their choice, but they're missing out on a very historic moment in our nation's evolution, and they're honestly belying the commitment they've made to their own constituents back at home.
About that
600, 700,000 people.
Yeah.
That's right. And to be part of our democracy, which means you respect election results and you come and you show support. So you will see Donald Trump today as the big man on the stage who is telling America, this is your government. This is a democracy for the people. He actually will convey today, I predict, that this is not about him. And that's a very non-Trumpian thing, the way people look at him. This is not about him. He ran for the people. I want people to see that family up there and look at him and remember the enormous sacrifices he made just to be the President of the United States.
Forget about
the amount of money.
That means, no, they've given up so many deals, billions of dollars in deals and revenues. His adult sons will be running the company while he's running the country. This is a true family affair. But most importantly, people should look at them and realize that if you see him there, he actually gave up more money, more power, more prestige, more position than he'll have.
Speaking of giving up, he gave up his, I guess something that means as much as almost any of his children, he gave up his smartphone. Is it true? He had to give up his phone?
I think he likes Ivanka more than the smartphone.
You think so?
And Eric and Don Jr.
What's the truth of that? Did they
Tiffany.
take it away?
Well, I won't say, just because of security reasons. I'm not sure what can be said.
Can he still tweet on his new phone?
But of course, yes.
He'll be tweeting. That's all we want to
social
know.
media platforms. He's probably tweeting it. He's probably answering you right now on Twitter, Ainsley. Of course he can, and he should tweet.
Sure.
Because that's a social media platform where he connects directly with people. And the only people who don't like it are those who are always trying to parse, what did he really mean? It's the democratization of information. You get it for free instantaneously, and everybody, the forgotten man and forgotten woman, gets it the same time you do.
Two pieces of information. One, how many executive orders today, because we've heard a myriad of numbers. And two, how many cabinet members could be confirmed by the end of the day, because we've heard there could be some trouble on the Senate side with Chuck Schumer.
Well, it's up to the Democrats, really, Steve, to show that they want to have a peaceful transfer of power here in our great democracy, because they've been playing some games with their nominees up there. They show trials, trying to really humiliate. Donald Trump said it best yesterday at a victory lunch. He said, it's the highest IQ for a cabinet in history, and he has a point. He does have a point. These are qualified men and women who just want to serve their nation. If there's something substantive to ask them, do that during the hearing.
Sure.
Otherwise, let's give Donald Trump, our new president, the respect, and let's give the country the respect that we need, that George W. Bush got and Barack Obama got when they became our presidents. They had 7 to 9 confirmed secretaries of state, defense, commerce, treasury, so that our government can actually function. We need at least that. And I think that's very important for us to actually show that all these plans and actions can be fulfilled immediately when you have your own team.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for sharing in the day.
That was a cool
It's going to be a long day for you, so thanks for waking up this
a
early
great
to
day.
talk to our viewers. We appreciate it.
All right. Straight ahead, critics won't admit it, but President-elect Trump is already making America's inner cities livable again. His diversity liaison, Brunel Donald Shea, here live from Washington, D.C.
Too fast to take.
What we need are jobs so that people can take responsibility of self-determination, not always looking to be delivered. We also need people to concentrate on eradicating the violence in these neighborhoods. These are the principles that I propose to the Trump administration, and they agree 100%.
And they are on board. Legendary NFL Hall of Famer Jim Brown speaking at President-elect Trump's Diversity Coalition party yesterday on the importance of helping the inner cities through his American program, which has the full support of the president-elect about to become president.
So how will Mr. Trump work to help those inner cities? His Diversity Coalition liaison, who you first met here on Fox and Friends, Brunel Donald Shea, joins us live. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning. God bless you, and God bless America.
All right. Is that how you feel today?
All day. I slept like a baby last night.
So many people in the African American community seem to be uneducated about what Donald Trump intends to do.
Yes. Well, we know that during the campaign, he said, look, I'm going to put $100 billion into the inner cities over the next 8 years. Not only that, school choice is going to be on the table, not just for African Americans, but for all of our American children. He said he's going to put, investment into communities where they've been starved. They've waited on life support for the Democratic Party, many of them 50 years, 40 years, 80 years. And still no recovery, no help, no relief. And so we know that he has made that pledge, and I expect that he will follow through on that.
What is your message for the critics of Donald Trump, especially in the African American community or in the inner cities, who aren't giving him a chance or out there protesting?
Yes. What I would say is this. We have a builder and a doer going into office. And if you want to know who Donald Trump really is, a lot of people look in your town, downtown, you see Trump Towers. You see the evidence of what and who Donald Trump is. And that lets us know that he's results driven, and people don't want to hear talk